Good Monday evening to you all out there. I hope you had a wonderful Monday. Welcome in to the OBR streaming network for another episode of the OBR GameTape. I'm your host, Jacob. I'm flying a little bit solo this week. Sam was unable to do the episode. This is pre-recorded. I know the live is up there and it streams live, but it is pre-recorded. So if you've got comments, put them in the comment section. I'll try to get to them as I can. Or you can go to theobr.com, hit me up over there. My username on the website is Roach, ROACH 257. And we can have a conversation about what we talk about today. I'll try to jump in and out of the comments on my breaks at work while this is streaming and try to have that conversation with you. But this is pre-recorded. If you're checking us out here on YouTube, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit that bell so you know every time we go live, every time we post videos. We got multiple shows for you every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, and we'll ramp it up even more once the season comes up and once games are starting. So make sure you check out, stay tuned to our YouTube, check us out in the written comment over on theobr.com. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this episode. It's been an episode I've kind of been looking forward to as well. We're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders tonight. We're going to break down some of his tape. I do have Sam, my regular co-host, Sam Penix. I do have his a couple of scouting notes and about a minute and a half of film that he chopped up that we'll go through, and I'll try to do my best Sam impression to break down the stuff that he has. And then I have some game tape too that I will go through. So let's dive right on into it. First, I'm going to get out my phone. I'm going to pull up Sam's scouting notes on Shedeur Sanders. Just to get that out, because normally I kick this off by letting Sam do the talking first. So we'll talk about his scouting notes. So he has three strengths. Three strengths and three weaknesses in the format that he sent to me. He said first strength is accuracy, which is 1,000,000% his best quality. His accuracy can get crazy good at times. He consistently places the ball well and rarely throws an uncatchable pass. I completely agree with that. Can make pinpoint throws across the middle and hit targets in stride on slants and outs. I wanted to comment on that part. I watched a ton of his tape going into the draft as the draft guy here at the OBR, and I broke down a bunch of his tape and stuff in some written form and things like that. But for this episode, I went back and rewatched some more tape. That dude, he's a slant merchant. And I'm not saying that, I don't mean that in a negative connotation, like, oh, he only throws slants, because that's not the case. He's just phenomenal at throwing slants. Like, he hit, and I'll show you some examples. Sam's got some examples in his tape where he just hits you in stride. And especially when it was Travis Hunter, and those guys that can create after the catch, I can see him doing that with like a guy like Jerry Jeudy, a guy like David Njoku, because he just puts it in a place where they just can catch it in stride, full speed, never have to, slow down, never give the defender a chance to make a play on the ball, because he just hits them right in stride, and they're able to, just keep going, keep doing what they were doing, pick up extra yardage. He is phenomenal on slant routes. His toughness, and I echo that as well. Sam says he got hit a ton in college and always bounced right back up. Knows how to handle this situation where he can't trust his offensive line. That was a big issue for him this year. I'll talk a little bit of it. It's like he invites some pressure himself, the way he holds onto the ball and goes big play hunting when sometimes he shouldn't. But it is worth noting that offensive line was pretty bad. Both can be true, and it's pretty bad. Sometimes, I was watching some plays and I'm like, he sees the guy and he's waiting for the guy to get open. He's getting ready to throw it because he kind of got to hold on to it a little bit longer, but it's still only be like 3 seconds that he's trying to hold on to it, and he had no chance to even get to 3 seconds and things like that. And it's very frustrating. The last thing that Sam talked about as a strength for Shedeur was his aggressiveness. He doesn't show any hesitancy in making any throw, believes he can fit the ball into any window anywhere on the field. Yeah. Sometimes, and I think this was a big problem for Deshaun Watson, especially in 2024, where I think some of the stuff going on between his ears, his confidence wasn't there, and so he wouldn't attempt really anything that was difficult. That's not a problem I have with Shedeur Sanders. He's incredibly accurate, and he will take chances, and he makes those chances pay off more often than not. But that's a mentality you love to see in a quarterback, a guy that's willing to take a chance because he knows he has the talent to do that. And we saw Watson just holding on to the ball, panicking, not wanting to take any chances, just looking for small incompletion, taking whatever he could do easily because he didn't believe he could make some throws. And Shedeur doesn't have that issue at all. All right, we're going to move on to the weaknesses that Sam sent me on his Shedeur Sanders scouting report. His pocket presence. He brought a lot of pressure on it and hits on himself, too often unprepared for pressure pre-snap and attempts to escape out the back of the pocket, leading to more yardage lost and potentially catastrophic hits. I echo what Sam is saying in this situation, and it's an issue for me too, where when he's standing in the pocket and he gets halfway decent protection at the beginning, there's a lot of like him drifting back and kind of going backwards. And when he does get pressure early, he doesn't always know where his, blitz beaters are, where his hot routes are, and he will run backwards instead of up and side to side. Like that's one thing that a difference between him and Dillon Gabriel under pressure is I think Dillon Gabriel minimizes it better because he goes left and right and up, and Shedeur, there are plays where Shedeur runs backwards and then comes back up and is able to make plays, but too often he runs backwards. And against NFL athletes and NFL pass rushers, it's going to be a bigger issue for him at the next level. He continues to do that. I think it can get coached out of him. A lot of the stuff that I have issues with is the pocket presence, are things that I think he can be coached up, because I think his strengths can outweigh the weaknesses, especially if he can work on a couple of the weaknesses. Like he makes some bad decisions in the pocket. He bails some clean pockets and things like that. That's coachable shit. Like that's stuff you can go and you can coach, and you're like, okay, if he can clean that sort of thing up, he's a 10-year plus starter in the NFL, in my opinion. It's what it is. Next, Sam lists the athleticism. It says he lacks twitch and speed to escape. It was a significant issue in college. It'll be much worse than the NFL. I think he has okay athleticism. I'm not quite as low on him necessarily, but he's not Lamar Jackson. And I think sometimes he runs around like he thinks he is, and he can do some of those things. And sometimes he gets away with them at Colorado in ways that he won't get away with it in the NFL. There's a concern there. So I'm with him on there. And Sam's pretty low on the arm strength. He wrote, hard to name an NFL starter with less zip on his throws than Sanders, cannot drive the ball into tight windows with closing defenders, and this is another problem in college that will worsen in the NFL. I'm a little higher on his arm strength than Sam is in this situation. I think he's got fine, average arm strength. I think he has an NFL arm. But it's nothing special in NFL terms. Like he's not up there with Josh Allen or anything like that. But I do think he can. I do think he can make the necessary throws. And Sam also put, bottom line, if Sanders can improve his pocket presence and unlock some more arm strength with mechanical improvements, there's a path to him being an NFL starter. His reputation and fanfare exceed his talent as a prospect, but he's also far more talented than a fifth-round draft slot. Yeah, far more talented than fifth-round draft spot. Some major concerns for me as well, but also, yeah, he was quarterback 2 and number 23 overall on my big board. So like, I'm not going to sit here and, lie to you about that. Like, I'm not going to do that. Yes, I have some major concerns similar to what Sam has, but he's a very talented thrower of the football. One thing about the accuracy that I love is the way he could layer the ball. And I've got a couple of examples of that where he will throw it over a linebacker, but be able to get it back down before the safety. And so he could throw it in between different levels of the defense. And he makes some throws, and I will show you some of them, where you plain and simple go, whoa, wow, that was a throw. That was amazing. And whenever I find someone like that, it's like, man, if I could just work on those. He talks about he may be able to unlock more arm strength with mechanical improvements. Sam has talked about this on the website, where he thinks some of the throwing motion and some of the footwork that Sanders, if he can work on that he has a stronger arm than what tape shows. He believes there's a way for him to get more torque and more zip. And I agree, because I see throws where he has plenty of torque and zip. And then I see throws that he leaves short. And I'm like, what is it? And I think that's probably something the NFL coaches in Cleveland are working on with him. And if he can improve that, he can work on some of the throwing mechanics, improve some of those things. I do think he can be a 10+ year starter, but he's got some habits that could also see him wash out in 5. The pocket presence thing just gets me. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way a ton as a thrower, but I think the way he runs around in the backfield and keeps going backwards and losing, he's taken 20+ yard sacks. He's going to get stripped more in the NFL than in college. He's going to fumble more if he continues to do those things and kind of have the ball out there available to some of these crazy athletes at defensive line. So I'm concerned about that. And yeah, I think it's an average arm. I think it's average athleticism. But he can throw the ball. Like I said, he can layer it, throw it over one level of the defense, but get it in between the safety and the linebacker and put it in some just insane spots. And if he can just clean up some of his pocket presence and maybe find a way to unlock a little bit more arm strength, we could be cooking with gas, man. Like we really could be there. So let's jump into some of this tape. This episode will probably be a little bit shorter, probably 30, 40 minutes or so, just because it's just me. And traditionally Sam would allude a little bit more on some of the things that he said, but I think I've said what I want to say. So let's get into some of Sam's tape here. We're going to start here with a play against Kansas. That was interesting. I'll get this off my screen. Yeah, we know we're sharing the screen there. That's great. You see, this is kind of where you're like, this is a toughness play. Watch this hit he'll take. Watch this hit. This is showing his toughness. Whoop, bam. And I don't know if that play ends up getting completed there, but I do think it's worth noting, like, he'll take hits like this. Like, I'm scared in this situation, the way he's running around. It kind of highlights some of that stuff where I'm like, good, make a decision, get the ball out, do something. But he does have functional athleticism, as you can see in this play. But this dude will take a shot. He knows he's taking that shot. And he lays there for like a second, and then he pops back up. He does that all the time. He is tough as nails. And he kind of had to be, because of his play style mixed with his offensive line. He had to be, or he wouldn't have survived this year at Colorado, if we're being quite frank. But that's a good example there of kind of him being tough as nails. Let's see this. Watch this throw. I like this throw. Boop. This is an example where it's a little bit of a risky throw because there is a safety over top. And if you end up floating this and overthrowing him a little bit, it can turn into an interception for that safety. But this is an example of him kind of a layered throw, in my opinion, where he's able to put enough on it to get it over the defender that's, between him and his receiver, but not high enough to where the defender behind his receiver gets an opportunity on it. And then, of course, the offensive player makes a play, and it ends up being a touchdown. But you're just going to see it as he comes here. This defender, I know the defender's off of it, but he's able to get, if you try to throw this straight line, this defender can potentially make a play on it. He throws it over the defender, doesn't give this guy a chance. He's able to fit it in there. A little bit risky in the NFL, but still just an example of some of the things he can do with his arm accuracy in terms of, like, I need to get some air under this ball, but I don't want to get too much air under this ball or else it's going to sail and turn into a turnover, and he's able to do that. Play. Like this. Boop. It's a close one. That's a close one. That's one of those things where you see kind of the arm strength. You wish there was a little bit more torque on that. If he can get just a little bit more zip on it, because it's very, very close, but he gets it there. He gets it there. He can do that. I think if he works on his mechanics a little bit, I think this one turns into he could do some of these things. You see how he's just kind of floating back. I think if he sets his feet a little bit more, he gets more zip on that. And it's less likely to be a negative play. But still, good throw. Look at this. Can we just enjoy this one again? So let's just enjoy this throw right here. Let's enjoy this throw for a second. Just boop. Right? That's what I'm talking about, man. Like those throws, when those throws show up, that's the stuff that gets the fans excited. The fans that are really want to see him, get more first team reps and get, into game action, is because he can make those throws. Those are not throws that everybody can make, that kind of ball placement there. Here's a situation where he needs to just get rid of the ball. Do something, throw it somewhere. He's now running back. He's running up, back, around, and he ends up, as you can see from where the play starts. Let's get it back to, we're going to watch this throw again. Hold on. Whew. What a throw. But you can see the play starts right here around about the 26-yard line. He ends up getting sacked back at the 50. You can't do this in the NFL. This is the habit that scares me the most. Is it just running backwards, turning around, dipping, throw it in the ground. Throw it in the ground or go down. You can't lose 20 plus yards. Especially in the NFL. You lose 20 plus yards, I don't care if it's first down. That drive's dead. The odds of that drive not being a punt, the odds of that drive going well, it's just not it is not good. So here's a throw where he just understands that where the defender is, he's got to throw this ball back shoulder. So let's bring this up again. So what you're going to see in this play, you're going to see that his receiver is behind the defender. The defender's, is not been beaten over the top. And Shedeur sees that and he understands, okay, I've got to put this as a back shoulder a little bit towards the sideline. That way my wide receiver can stop, turn, go back for the ball, and either he'll be able to do that or it's incomplete. I'm not going to put too much air on it. I'm not going to lead him because if you lead him, he doesn't have the defender beat. You can't just float it up there for him to run under. You've got to throw it back shoulder, and that is a hard throw to make, a very hard throw to make. But he sees it, he understands, he throws it, puts it in the place where his guy can go get it, and that the defender doesn't get an opportunity. Here's another throw where he throws it over the first level of the defense, tucks it in there nice. Throws it over, drops it down. And it could have led him a little bit better, but pretty good throw. Nice down the field throw, nice, accurate. Gets it where it needs to be. That's an insane throw, man. Those are the plays. Those are the plays that all of these fans that, have followed him since Colorado, and all these Browns fans that are super jacked up about Shedeur Sanders. It's those throws. Just look at the place that he puts this pass in. Like, you're going to see here, this defender's catching up. Right here. The throw to get it, to not let 21 get a play on the ball. The defender here is catching back up to it, and he hits him in stride. And then his wide receiver does what he does best. One thing I wanted to note too about this offense didn't help Shedeur a ton because we are all very familiar as Browns fans with Pat Shurmur offenses, and we know that it doesn't give the quarterback a ton of easy answers, and there's a lot of predictability, and so he had to deal with that too, where he was not getting. There wasn't a lot of deception. Like Kevin Stefanski does a lot of nice misdirection, a lot of deception with way he likes to move people around and the play action and different movements and using a running back as a wide receiver, things like that. He gives his quarterback easy answers. If you give Shedeur Sanders easy answers, I do believe he will find them and he will make you pay. I said it about Dylan Gabriel a couple weeks ago when we did his breakdown, where I said he was a fantastic scheme fit. Shedeur's a fantastic scheme fit. If he's given easy answers, because he wasn't given a ton of them in college because of how simplistic the offense was, and it wasn't really like scheming guys open a ton. If you give him some of those, I do absolutely think he can make it work. He's going to scramble out a little bit. He's just going to, throw it. Here, look at that. Can you throw a better slant than that? I just want to see that slant one more time. Let's see the slant. Just watch the way he puts it, leads him perfectly. He never has to break stride. That allows his receiver here to try to make a move and create extra yardage because Sanders never he didn't have to wait. He didn't have to stop. He didn't give the defender a chance to catch up. That's some of Sam's tape. So I've got some tape for you. Let's bring it up here. All right. Let's get it on the screen for you here. Let's check out some more Shedeur Sanders tape. All right. We got some action against the BYU bowl game. An example of him just absolutely placing the ball in a ridiculous location. Like I said, like I'm not quite, some people, I say average athleticism. That's still good. But what I'm saying is it's average for the NFL. It's above average for like a regular human. Like it's just not on Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. It's not on that kind of level, but he does a good job on the run of being able to keep his eyes downfield at times. Like just he flushes out of this pocket here, and you're going to see him make a throw. About a 15, 20-yard throw. That's on the nose, dude. That's an insane throw to make on the run. Like I've seen him throw it, deeper. You'd like a little bit more zip here, but he's on the run. In terms of on the run, that throw is insane. I love that throw. Here's an example of him that's kind of where the arm strength issue is this is an example for me of an arm strength issue. If he can get a little bit more mustard on that and lead his wide receiver a little bit more, it could be a touchdown. Instead, he underthrows it. Travis Hunter's got to try to work his way back to it. He's not able to do it. Pass ends up being incomplete. But he does push it pretty far down there. He throws it. He's got enough arm strength to give him a chance there. It just didn't work out. There's an example of him, another one on the run where he's smart. He's able to roll out. There's an easy answer right there. Hit him on the money, give him opportunity to kind of create a little bit after catch, not a ton after catch, but I think that's a very nice, accurate pass on the run. So it's not just, I'm not just down on him when he escapes the pocket. He does make plays. It's the negative ones that scare the hell out of you. Boom, right in stride. Tight ass window, right in stride. Watch this again. Love the slants. Defender all over him here. Defender's all over him. And I don't care. Like there's no separation there. Like you talk about like Deontay Johnson is an easy target when he's on his best because he can create separation. That guy doesn't create any separation. That's a Shedeur throw. That's a Shedeur play. That's that the wide receiver's not doing him a ton of help on that particular play. Right in stride, touchdown. That's the accuracy. The accuracy we talked about this with Kevin Stefanski in what worked with Joe Flacco in 2023, where especially with David Njoku, he would just hit guys in stride and give them opportunities to create after the catch. It happened a ton with Amari Cooper. When you're able to put the ball in a spot where your playmaker can continue to make a play like that, that's huge. And that's what he does here. It ends up being a touchdown. He doesn't break stride. Has enough separation already to, make this happen. Here he is going to run out of here, throw it over a defender, kind of a layer throw there, and it ends up also being a touchdown. So while I don't think he has a huge arm, I do think he has an NFL arm, and this is an example of it. I've showed you some underthrows, and there's some more examples of it and things like that. But I do think he can get a little bit more zip and a little bit more torque, and I think he can get a little bit more power working on his mechanics. And I'm sure the Browns are already working on it. And from everything I've read and everything I've been told, he's been at just so receptive to the coaching, and he's been working his tail off. And if he's working his tail off to fix some of these deficiencies, I'm intrigued. He's never going to have a rocket arm. I don't think he's never going to be Lamar Jackson as an athlete, but you can win a lot of games with an incredibly accurate passer, and that's exactly what he is. See him on the run here, going to throw it over the defender. It's a little bit of a dangerous pass there as he's going down, but he's able to throw it over the defender and put it in a spot for Travis Hunter and makes it a touchdown. You're going to see him here, roll out. Those are the tight window throws that scare you. I don't want you. It ends up being a touchdown here. I'm not sure it ends up being a touchdown in the NFL. This is just an example where he gets a little bit more torque, a little bit more zip and power on that. Then I feel a little bit more confident. But, in the NFL, I'm not sure that this pass is completed. I don't love him making the decision to throw across his body a little bit. there, but he zips it into a tight window. He has that confidence, and part of that confidence comes from making the plays like that you just saw. So he will take those chances, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it won't. Stands in, takes a hit, just delivers an absolute dot. An example of him getting decent, he gets good air under this ball, throws it 30 plus, over 30 yards, I believe. But you'll see him, he's going to take a shot. He knows he's going to take a shot. It's fine. Boop. On his butt. Throws it about 20, 25 yards downfield on a dime. See him from another angle. He can throw the moon ball, man. Like, he can throw a moon ball. He might not throw it as far as Baker Mayfield, but he can do this. I like that. An example here of him just, you go down, throw it, go down. You can't do that. You can't keep going backwards. And part of that is the offensive line. I know that. It's not a good offensive line. But you got to understand, go down, throw it at somebody's feet, something. Do not turn what is, you're inside the 10-yard line, and you're going to end up, I believe, back at the 30. You just, when you see that, step up. You can't do this. You can't run all the way back past the 30. That's the habit that scares me. Some of his decision-making in the pocket scares me. Now, do I think the Browns should have a better offensive line than Colorado? Yeah. But I also think the players chasing him are going to be better. So it's a trade-off, right? Dropping back to pass. Just a reminder, put this across the screen. We are not. I am not live right now, so that is why I'm not responding to your comments if you're throwing them. Hits a guy just beautifully in stride. He's able to get 10 extra yardage. Travis Hunter is here. Doesn't have to break stride at all. Just drops back. Just put it right on the money, right where he's coming. He ends up getting 5 to 10 more yards because of the spot that Shedeur was able to put that ball in, and it's just amazing to me. Here's a situation too where it's like you've got guys here he could have thrown to that are wide open. He ends up hesitating. I don't know if I think sometimes he wants to go big play hunting and ends up holding onto the ball for way too long. And it ends up being a bad sack here, just where you're seeing as he's here, he's got these three guys and only one defender that's out here. This defender's out here, but you can get the ball out, and he ends up kind of holding on to the ball, was hesitating, and then he runs backwards and ends up getting sacked for about 10 yards. And you can't do that at the next level when there are options there. And I just see that too much, but those are I really do think it's a coachable thing. Like I think that thing can be rectified. And that's my biggest concern with him. Those are my biggest concerns with him is the pocket presence and the negative yardage plays that he takes. And I think that's a very, very coachable thing. Holds onto the ball for a while here, and then he just kind of goes down, just doesn't make a decision, maybe run with it, do something else here. Instead, he just kind of stands there, just kind of drifts. I'm not saying anybody's open. Maybe you dirt it, but at a certain point, that clock's got to go off. He has the athleticism to pick up yards with his feet. So, maybe that's the direction you go. But here's an example of why I say I think he's got functional athletic ability. Wide open lane, first down. He can do it. He can do it just fine. Boop. Tight window. Put it the only place he could have put it there is where he put it. So, guys, this has been pre-recorded. So if you wanted to go and have a chat with me about what we just showed, what we just talked about with Shedeur Sanders, feel free to come on over to the OBR.com. Roach257 is my username over there. That's my Twitter handle there on the screen if you want to have a conversation about what I've seen. But here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. There's some limits physically. I think he's a decent athlete with a decent arm, but I think he's surgical. I think he's smart. Sometimes some of the bad decisions confuse me because of some of the other decisions that he makes. But I do think he does a good job of layering throws, throwing it over a linebacker, but not putting too much air on it to where it sails in the defense and the safety is able to get to it. Just makes a lot of wow throws, man. And when you're talking about trying to find a quarterback, you want a guy that can make wow throws, and Shedeur can make those wow throws. So I'm very excited to see what happens in camp. I think more reps are coming. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're not watching this live, though, hit the comments. I'm going to try to get to as many comments as I can as I remember, because I know this will be a more popular episode. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the OBR here on YouTube and over on the website. We'll be back next week, and we'll be starting to turn our attention to some of the young guys on the Browns roster and what they did in last year and maybe the year before, and just kind of talk through some stuff. So me and Sam will be back next week with another OBR game tape tomorrow. Jeff Lloyd, Browns 3D at 6, and then the React with Brad Ward and Pete Smith at 7. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys again next time, as always.